All right, so get this. We're diving into some seriously strange stuff today. Mysterious drone sightings over New Jersey and other parts of the Northeast.
Hmm.
And you sent me a bunch of Pentagon press briefings, a congressional hearing transcript, even some news articles. So we've got a lot to cover.
It is a fascinating mix of official statements, lawmaker claims, and even some experts trying to figure out what exactly is going on here.
It's not just like your run-of-the-mill drone sightings, though, right? These are reports of these things being like the size of a car with blinking lights near places like Trump National Golf Club, Bedminster, and Picatinny Arsenal, like a major military research facility.
What really gets me is the amount of reports, like over 3,000 filed with the FBI. The FAA even put a no-fly zone over parts of New Jersey.
Yeah.
It's definitely not something you see every day.
No, not at all. So let's start with like the official word. What's the Pentagon saying? They're saying these aren't U.S. military drones, and they haven't found anything that says it's a foreign adversary. They're basically saying, we don't know what they are, but they're not ours. What do you think about that?
It's interesting because on one hand, the Pentagon's like trying to downplay it.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, they're saying they don't have a clear explanation, which just makes it even more mysterious.
Totally. And then you've got Congressman Van Drew from New Jersey saying these drones are being launched from an Iranian mothership off the coast.
Right.
And he's even citing high-level sources. Is there anything to that?
Well, it's definitely a bold claim, and the Pentagon straight up denied it.
Right.
But it's worth thinking about why he might say something like that. I mean, think about it. He represents the area where this is all happening.
Right.
So he's got to give people answers and make sure his voters feel safe.
Yeah.
So it could be something political, or he might really think he has information that points to Iran.
So we've got this battle between what the officials are saying and what this congressman is claiming.
Yeah. But what about the experts and all the speculation that's going on out there? What are people saying about these mystery drones?
Well, some experts are saying it doesn't seem likely that drones from some enemy country could be out in the open for so long and not get caught. It really makes you wonder if they were hostile. Wouldn't that information have leaked out already?
Right. That kind of information would be hard to keep quiet.
Yeah.
And don't forget about all the consumer and commercial drones out there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That has to be making things harder for investigators.
Absolutely. It makes it so hard to tell who's just a hobbyist and who's a potential threat.
Right.
And of course, this whole thing has made people come up with theories about secret government programs.
Sure.
And even UFOs.
Okay, so hold on. Before we go down that UFO rabbit hole, let's define something for everyone.
Yeah.
UAP, which stands for Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, is what the government calls UFOs now. So when we were talking about UAPs, we're talking about anything in the sky that we can't immediately identify.
Right.
Pretty easy, right? Yeah. It's important to remember that UAPs don't automatically mean aliens.
Right.
It just means we don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
And since the Pentagon is actually investigating UAPs, now it's possible that these drones are part of that. But let's not jump to conclusions yet.
Yeah, I agree. Let's stick with the facts for now. So we've got these sightings, the Pentagon's denials, Van Drew's claims, and a whole lot of speculation. But one thing that really stood out to me was this thing about the FBI's budget for dealing with drones.
Oh, yeah.
I've only got like $500,000. That's basically nothing, especially with how crazy good drone technology is getting these days.
Yeah, it does make you wonder if we're prepared or not.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're struggling to figure out who's behind these things, how ready are we to actually defend ourselves against them?
Right.
Or anything else that might be out there? It's kind of unsettling.
It is, for sure. It feels like this whole situation is showing us a weak spot in how aware we are and how we respond. And that brings me to something else you talked about earlier, the medevac helicopter incident.
Right.
You know, the one where the drones messed with its flight path?
Yeah, that's a big detail that we shouldn't ignore. Think about it. You're seriously hurt in an accident. You need to get to the hospital fast.
Right.
And then your transport is delayed because of these mysterious drones in the air. That's when the real danger of this whole mystery becomes clear.
It's a scary thought, right? It makes those official statements about no threat seem kind of empty.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if these drones are from Iran or some secret government thing or even just some tech people messing around. The fact that they could mess with a medevac helicopter shows a real problem in our security.
Right.
And it brings us back to those explanations that don't add up.
Exactly. On the one hand, you've got the Pentagon saying it's not a big deal and we shouldn't worry.
Right.
And then you have this congressman saying he's got inside info that points to something way more serious, maybe even another country.
So where does that leave us?
Wow.
We've got confirmed sightings, explanations that contradict each other, and a bunch of unanswered questions.
That's right. We need to look deeper into these different stories and try to understand what's actually going on.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to break down the evidence, look at all the different viewpoints, and see if we can shed some light on this whole confusing situation.
That sounds good to me.
Let's take a quick break, and then we'll jump right back into this drone mystery.
Okay.
We'll get into the details of the sightings, the Pentagon's response, and Congressman Van Drew's claims, and what this whole thing might mean for you. Stick with us.
So let's dig a little deeper into what Congressman Van Drew is saying.
Okay.
I mean, the Pentagon says there's no Iranian mothership.
Right.
But what else could explain these super advanced drones?
That's a good question. If they're not Iranian and they're not ours, then what do they have been? Could we be seeing some kind of technology that's so advanced we don't even know about it yet?
It's definitely possible. Think about how fast technology changes. What's cutting edge today could be old news tomorrow. It wouldn't be surprising if there are drones out there with abilities that we haven't even dreamed of yet.
That makes sense. And remember, you mentioned that the FBI's budget for counter-drone stuff is tiny.
Yeah.
What if they're dealing with technology that's so advanced that their current tools and methods are just useless against it?
That's a really interesting idea. It's almost like we're always trying to catch up.
Yeah.
Struggling to understand and defend against tech that's already way ahead of what we can even grasp.
It's like we're seeing something impossible like magic, but it's really just technology that's so beyond us we can't understand it yet.
Exactly. Like that Arthur C. Clarke quote about how any sufficiently advanced technology is going to look like magic to us.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really interesting. If these drones are such a leap forward, who's behind them? Are we talking about another country with a secret program, or some company pushing the limits of what's possible, or something else entirely? Let's go back to something you mentioned earlier, the incident with the medevac helicopter. That's not just some abstract idea about technology. It's a real event that could have had serious consequences. What does that tell us about these drones and who's controlling them?
It shows that they're sophisticated and bold.
Right.
Interfering with a medevac helicopter is a risky and dangerous move.
Right.
Whoever is behind this is willing to take chances and push boundaries no matter what the consequences might be.
It raises the stakes. It's not just some unidentified drones flying around. It's about them potentially messing with important things and even putting lives in danger.
Exactly. And it shows that we need to be more careful about how we think about the threat. We can't just say, oh, these are harmless, when they've shown they can interfere with critical services and public safety.
So if we step back and look at the big picture, what have we learned? We've got confirmed sightings, different explanations that don't match up, and a lot of unanswered questions. But we also know that these drones aren't just toys.
Right.
They're real, and they could be dangerous.
You're exactly right. And it's not just about national security or even technology. This forces us to look at what we know and what we can understand about the world around us.
Yeah.
We're basically dealing with the unknown.
It's both fascinating and a bit scary, right? On the one hand, we're drawn to the mystery and all the possibilities.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it makes us realize that there are things happening in the world that we don't fully get or have control over.
That's true. And that's where critical thinking is so important. We need to be able to look at information, consider different viewpoints, and come to our own conclusions.
But how do we do that? Especially with something as complex and mysterious as this. What can we do to be more critical thinkers?
Well, first, we got to be aware of our own biases.
Yeah.
We all have our own ideas and beliefs that shape how we see things. Recognizing those biases can help us be more objective.
So you're saying we shouldn't just believe everything we're told, even if it comes from someone who seems like they know what they're talking about.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if it's the Pentagon or Congressman Van Drew or even the experts you've been reading.
Right.
It's important to be a little skeptical. Ask yourself what their motives are, what their biases might be, and what evidence they have to back up what they're saying.
That makes sense. It's about being careful, right?
Yeah.
Not just accepting things without thinking about them.
Exactly. And don't be scared to look for different opinions. Read what people who disagree with you have to say. Listen to arguments that challenge your own beliefs. That's how you expand your understanding and get a more complete view of the world.
So it's not about shutting yourself off from different ideas, but actively seeking them out and really thinking about them.
Absolutely. And critical thinking isn't just about finding faults or tearing things down. It's also about recognizing strengths, seeing valid arguments, and understanding the complexity of the issues.
So it's about being thoughtful and engaged, right? And being willing to change your mind if the evidence tells you to.
We got it. And I think that's the biggest lesson we can take from this whole drone mystery. It reminds us that we live in a world full of uncertainty, where things aren't always clear-cut. And it's up to each of us to deal with that uncertainty with a critical mind and a desire to learn.
Well said. And that brings us back to the big question. If these drones aren't Iranian and they're not ours, then what are they?
We've considered a bunch of possibilities, advanced tech, that no one's talking about, a secret program, even the possibility of something we can't even fathom yet.
And let's be honest, that last one is the most exciting, right? The idea that we might have glimpsed something truly groundbreaking, something that changes how we think about what's possible.
It's definitely a thought-provoking idea, and it should encourage us to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing the limits of what we think is possible.
Well, on that note, we'll leave you with one final thought to ponder. We've covered a lot today, looking at the sightings, the official responses, the expert opinions, and all the speculation. But maybe the most important takeaway is this. The real mystery here isn't just about these drones. It's about us. You know, our ability to understand and deal with the unknown. This whole thing is like a reminder that the world is constantly changing. And sometimes we just don't have all the answers.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
We've been talking about critical thinking and questioning what we believe and looking at things from different angles.
Right.
But there's another piece to this puzzle, and I think it's curiosity.
Curiosity? What do you mean?
Well, think about what makes us want to explore, to investigate, to push the boundaries of what we know. It's that human need to understand the world around us.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means facing the unknown.
Okay.
Embracing the mystery.
So you're saying that instead of being scared of the things we don't get, we should be excited about them. We should see them as chances to learn and grow.
Right. These mystery drones, whoever they belong to and whatever they're doing, have made people really curious.
Yeah.
People are asking questions, coming up with theories, trying to make sense of it all.
Right.
And that's a good thing. It means we haven't lost that basic human drive to learn and understand.
It's like this whole thing has woken us up a bit, made us realize there's still so much out there that we don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe that's the point of these drones. To remind us that the world is full of mysteries and that the search for knowledge never ends.
I like that. I think that's a great place to wrap things up. We may not have all the answers about these mystery drones, but we've definitely explored some cool possibilities.
We have.
We've talked about the importance of critical thinking, the power of curiosity, and the need to be open to the unknown.
And I hope you listening out there have gotten something out of this deep dive with us. Maybe you're more curious now, or maybe you started to question some of the things you thought you knew.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, the important thing is to keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep an open mind.
Because who knows what other mysteries are out there just waiting for us to find them. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.